Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Roguy Media. My name is Alex Schlerf, and today we're going to be doing my review for Bugonia, starring Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Yorgos Lanthimos' most recent film. I've been inactive on YouTube for a couple weeks for no particular reason, just been writing more than I've been doing videos, but wanted to talk about this on camera because this is a really good film, and I want everyone to see this, and I want to spread the word of this film so it gets recognition in the award season. Yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. I'm gonna do a spoiler and non-spoiler section, starting with a non-spoiler as always. Um, yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a ton of spoilers to talk about. There's like a little thing towards the end which I want to talk about a little bit, but mostly I'll try to keep as many of my thoughts in non-spoiler section for those of you who have not seen the film. Yeah, Begonia. I'm gonna try to like keep it as simple as describing the plot as possible because I think you should go into this as blind as possible. But the simplest part of it is that there are two people who are planning to kidnap a major CEO because they believe she is an alien who wants to destroy Earth. Like that's literally the simplest thing. It probably sounds silly, it probably sounds stupid, but I was I was blown away by this movie, and I had high expectations going into it because I am a fan of Yorgos as a director and a writer, even though he's not the writer for this one. But Emma Stone is one of my favorite actresses, and all the trailers look great. And I was like, you know what? And the reviews were going great, so I was like, this definitely has the potential to be one of Yorgos' best films, one of Emma Stone's best films. I've never been a huge Jesse Plemons fan, but like obviously he looked good in the trailers, so I was really excited for this one, and it really did even surpass all the expectations I had going in, even with how good the reviews were. Yeah, I'll just dive right into it. The number one positive of this movie for me is the performances. And, with Emma Stone, and I'm a little bit biased, obviously, as like I said, she's one of my favorite actresses, but it's very clear to me that she is a generational talent, and we've known that for a long time. And before I even sat down, her name was already in my mind for an Oscar nomination. Like I figured it was going to be a performance that gets her back in that Oscar nominations, voting, potential win, all that kind of stuff. But as I said, as someone who wasn't like it's a huge, I'm not saying he's like a bad actor, but wasn't a huge Jesse Plemons fan and going into this movie, I was incredibly impressed with his performance, like at points even more than Emma Stone. And listen, they're basically our main cast for this. Like there's a couple other characters in this, maybe two or three, but Plemons and Emma Stone are our two main characters, our two co-leads. I think they're both going for leads in the award season, so that's literally co-leads. And they're amazing scene partners, but both of them steal the show multiple points. And obviously, Emma Stone is so talented, like the focus is going to be on her, and I'm going to give her her praise. But I want to start with Plemons because in this movie, I think the best part about his performance and Emma Stone's performance, but his performance specifically, is that it's so multi-layered, and it comes originally when we see him. And again, I'm going to be very careful about spoilers here, but when we first see him, he brings a level of confidence, even though he is essentially a conspiracy theorist. Like he is convinced that this random CEO, which is Emma Stone's character, is an alien, is going to destroy the world, and he also blames a lot of his problems in life on her. And when he comes into the story from the beginning, and when he kind of captures Emma Stone's character, and that's in the trailers, not spoiling anything. That's like literally in the first 10 minutes. But at that point, he has a really big level of confidence, and he brushes off any potential threats that Emma Stone's character would say, or her pleading that she is an alien or she isn't an alien. The certain sides of it, depending on what the situation requires for her character to try to get out of this, kidnapping. But the way that Plemons comes in, and really what it is it's a great script and it's a great screenplay, but the way he delivers the lines really elevates the character and makes the character so interesting. Because again, at first he's kind of this, although he is a conspiracy theorist, and you're like, what is he talking about? You kind of see where he's coming from in terms of like he's had a really difficult life and he's trying to find a place to place these emotions. And it's when we get that first breakdown from him and kind of that first we start to see that mental illness inside of him really start to play out. That's when the performance is incredibly impressive. And yeah, there's a couple like breakdowns that are really good. And then the further the movie goes along, we start to shift our perspective on him and what we think about him and what who are we rooting for in this situation? Do we want him? Do we want, like, it's such a multi-layered performance from both of them, but specifically him as well, because like I said, he comes in the story with this kind of duct tape confidence because you can tell he's kind of on the verge of freaking out and breaking down, and then that gets to that point at a certain point. But it's the way he delivers it really makes you feel that as an audience and feel him as a character and understand all his motivations. And although those motivations and kind of that control slips over the course of the little bit less than 2 hours runtime, it's just so impressive to see the way he delivers those lines and the way he plays out his character arc in the movie. And again, it speaks to the writing, but the performance by him just made this character so much more interesting than it could have been if it was, a lesser actor. So again, I give him total props for this. This is 100% an Oscar-worthy performance. It's too early to say if he would be in like my top five at the end of the year, but I was last night. I might tweet this out later today, but last night after I watched the movie, I was kind of cobbling together like my top 10 performances of this year so far. And there's a lot of ones we haven't seen. Hamnet hasn't come out yet. Wicked for Good hasn't come out yet. Sentimental Value. Like there's a lot of stuff that has potential Oscar worthy performances, but his was in the top five of my favorite performances so far this year. And like I said, I just left so impressed. And for me, he's great in Breaking Bad, but for me, a career best performance for him so far, or so far by far. Like this is by far his best performance in his career so far. So was really impressed by him in this movie. And then with Emma Stone, it's a similar sense where her character has so many twists and turns throughout the movie. I'm not even talking about like towards the end, which people who have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But even throughout, like, it's really the final hour. There's so many twists and turns with both characters, both Stone and Plemons, that you really don't know what to think at certain points. And they really keep you guessing to the point of like, it is the last 5 minutes of the movie, and you literally don't know what the motivations of any character is. And Emma Stone plays that out so well because there's like different parts of her plan and her personality in this movie. It starts off and she's very calm and very caring and trying to really understand what Plemons' motivations are. And then there's an anger later on, the longer she's kind of in this kidnapping situation, and like frustration as well, because she's like, what are you talking about? I'm not an alien, I'm just a random person. And then in that final act, we get a another layer to that, which I can't talk about as much because, again, it'll get into spoilers, but I'll get into that more obviously in the spoiler section. But it's just such a controlling performance from her, and I mean, it's for both of them, but especially for her, like you hang on to her every word, like every word she is saying to Plemons or to the world or to whatever. You're hanging on to that every word, and it really keeps you engaged because this is like not it gets very fast. This movie gets very fast paced towards the end, but for the first hour or so, like this is not like a fast paced thriller or anything. Like this is a slower build because it's just really pretty much just her and Plemons and his little partner talking, just literally having a conversation. And maybe it's because of the script more than the acting. I'm not sure, but to me, it really just speaks to her acting and the way she delivered the lines and the way she performed it. Obviously, you have to give her props for the commitment to shaving her head and all that. I mean, I think I listened to an interview with her and Jesse Plemons about a week ago, and she was saying that like she hates people saying that it was like a transformation because she's just shaving off her head. It's not wearing prosthetics. It's not like The Rock and Smashing Machine, right? It's like shaving off her head and she's acting the same as she would. But obviously, you have to respect that commitment. And then the way she changes her emotions throughout this performance, just depending on the situation, is just it's just so impressive. And again, it proves that she again and again proves that she is one of the best actors working today. And again, I'm biased in that sense because like La La Land's like literally my favorite movie of all time, and I love her as Gwen Stacy is one of my favorite characters. Like I love so many of her performances, and even with that said, this definitely goes up there as one of her best performances of all time. I'm not exaggerating that. Like genuinely, you got La La Land, you got Poor Things, like the two movies she won an Oscar for. I should like this movie more than Poor Things. I'll kind of get in my Yorgos ranking in a second, but this performance like belongs in her at the lowest top five, but probably top three or four performances just ever. And I haven't thought in my head of how to rank those. I mean, La La Land is like always going to be the number one for me because I love that movie so much. But this is 100% like three, four, or five, or maybe even second ever performances all time. So good. And again, if you didn't have two actors like Plemons and Emma Stone, excuse me, if you didn't have those two actors, two actors as talented as they are, performing these lines and performing the script, the movie wouldn't have been bad, but excuse me, you wouldn't have been as hooked on every single word they were saying and every single situation they find themselves in, and hooked on the character arcs throughout the movie from the start of the movie to the absolute end. Like you wouldn't have been as hooked as you would have without the performances of the two of them. So that's I think I've been talking about it for a while, but that is the by far and away the main positive of this movie is the two lead performances. And just generally, this is a really high tension thriller. And it's honestly, I mean, all of Yorgos's movies are horror in a sense. They're all rated R. They're all got some sexual aspects to it. They all got cursing, all that. But this movie is kind of as much of a horror as he's ever done, which is funny because it's coming out on Halloween. But I think the biggest thing about this is that the tension is so high throughout, and a lot of it is credit to the score. I did not expect to be as impressed with the score as I was in this movie, but like the way it plays out and the notes they play in certain scenes and kind of the musical backdrop. There's like this one kind of dun 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 dun. Yeah, there was like a little bit of a couple notes that would be like consistent throughout the movie. It's not like an insane amount of tracks. It's probably only like five or six like specific songs. I mean, there's maybe more than that, but five or six songs that I was remembering from the score, but it just elevates the tension and stress you have as an audience viewer so much. Like it literally elevates every single scene that's in. And I mean, again, it's another thing where like it might have been a decent movie without the score being as good as it was, but the score being as good as it was brought the tension so much. And like I said, we just keep it rolling. Like there's a scene that's really tense, then you go to the next one it's tense, and it's slow. And I use this phrase so much, but I'm just going to use it here because it's so accurate to what I was feeling watching this movie. But it's slow when it needs to be, and it's fast when it needs to be because there are certain scenes like that dinner scene kind of towards the middle, I think. Like this is one of those movies where it was a little under 2 hours. I did sometimes when I'm watching a movie I'm not enjoying as much, I'll like check my phone to see what not check my phone to like not pay attention, but check the phone to see how much time is left because I'm kind of like, all right, this is dragging on a little bit. This movie felt like 30 minutes. I did not check my phone one time to see what time it is. I was totally locked in from start to finish. And yeah, that just speaks to the obviously the script and the acting, but the score, just the sound. I mean, this one deserves to be in the best sound category for the Oscars, in my opinion. Again, it is early. I'm speaking for based on what I've seen so far, and that's important to note. But still, it's hard for me to see a movie kind of obviously best score is kind of taken up by Sinners one battle after another. I'm not saying this is better than those two scores, but it might be number three. At least for me right now, it's number three in terms of movies this year. If we're not counting like Fantastic Four, obviously, which is like a biased thing. But yeah, long story short, the score makes everything better in this movie, and the tension is just so good. And just again, you're just and every single scene you're just gripped and you're engaged, and it's just so well done in every way. And again, I left with my number one observation being how good the acting was, but the score and the tension was just so good. And it's such a simple concept. Like it shouldn't be as stressful and tense as it is because it's literally just this woman got kidnapped. She's trying to get out. Like, I mean, I guess that does sound very tense, but it's the majority of the movie takes place in one location. It's the house, like the house that they're in. And there's like a little bit of build up, like 10 minutes for the whole kind of, you know, everything hits the fan. Just cause I'm not trying to curse, but, there's a little bit of build up, but once we get into like that past like the first 5% of the movie, it's just a wild ride from start to finish. And it's a crazy movie. It's a good movie to watch in theaters because there's a lot of like, whoa, there's a lot of like crazy moments, especially like two where my theater was like literally out. Like, I mean, I didn't see what I think there was probably like 10 other people in my theater. I mean, this is a smaller, like kind of low budget film, so I'm not really surprised, but my theater was giving audible reactions a lot, and it's worth seeing in a theater for that score, honestly. I mean, I would say this movie is worth seeing in a theater anyway because it's a great movie, but in terms of like the theater experience, you wouldn't expect a Yorgos movie to be like this huge theatrical thing, but they make this a huge theatrical event because of the score kind of pumping in your ears. And I don't know if you get the same experience watching at home. You'll still enjoy it a lot, but I'm just saying, if you can go out and see this movie, you should for obvious reasons. But yeah, the tension's great, the score is great, the acting is great. And I think this is something that I can't get into too. This is like kind of my last big positive. I can't get into this too much without going into spoilers, but I think it offers an interesting and fresh perspective on conspiracy and conspiracy theorists. Obviously, this movie is based off a previous movie. I think it's a South Korean movie called Save the Green Planet. And I have not seen that film. I'm probably going to watch it at some point soon just to kind of compare them. I've heard this is a huge improvement on it. But a lot of the movie is a narrative about conspiracy theorists and about the world and about the fact that this guy, Jesse Plemons' character, blames all of this on aliens, and specifically he thinks that Emma Stone's character is an alien. And again, so I gotta like kind of tiptoe around this until I get to the spoiler section, but I just think that this is not a straightforward like conspiracy. This movie is not predictable. You probably think I'm like leading towards one direction in terms of that, but no, like that's not like there's multiple twists and turns in this movie, and it's not predictable at all. And you will again be guessing the from 10 minutes in to the absolute end of the movie. It will leave you guessing. Like I promise you that. And it's not predictable, and it's going to be hard for you to go into this movie and say, "This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen." And it just because of that and that kind of that layered performances, but also the layered script, I think brings an interesting perspective to conspiracy theorists. And I think this movie might be a little divisive because of that. I'm not totally sure, but I just like that it was fresh. It was a fresh look at kind of the environmental problems in our world, in just mental illness in our world, or kind of in just illness in general, and all of that. Past the fact that the movie's just really good and really entertaining, I did appreciate the fact that it did offer new perspective there. Can't go into it too much without spoiling it, and I will in the spoiler section, I promise. But that was another standout thing to me is the fact that it did offer new perspectives, and there was still themes in this. There was themes of mental illness, there was themes um, of that's kind of like the main that's kind of like the main theme to be honest, like that. But again, conspiracy and all those kind of things. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any other main positives. As I said, this is already one of the best movies of 2025 for me. It's actually, you know what? Let me pull up my list right now. I should have had this up, but my letterbox list. I believe it's like number 5 out of my 2025 movies right now. But let me check real quick. 2025. I'm just doing this for the spoiler section. Yeah, this is literally number 5 for me in 2025, only behind Sinners, or I'll go in order 4 to 1. Weapons, Fantastic Four, One About After Another, and Sinners. And that's not like that just because it's not ahead of those. Those are like incredible movies. I mean, I love all those movies so much. And yeah, it's safely in my top 10 and it's in my top 5 right now. And it would be hard for me to believe that this would not end up when I do like an Oscar video at the end of the year, this were award season video at the end of the year, kind of a year in review. I would be shocked if this wasn't in my top 10 for like the best picture category. So, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else for me to say. I think I'm not like, I don't have like an incredible list of positives. I know I've been talking for a while, but I don't have an incredible list of positives, but it's because that the performances, the tension, the script, the music, that stuff specifically, and the fact that it keeps you guessing and it's not predictable, all of that is just so good that it's just so stand out, and all of that is all they need. I mean, those were like 4 huge things, but another thing is the movie looks really good. It looks really good visually, and there's a lot of like really good shots in there, even though it's not like Sinners where you're taking shots of like vampires evaporating in the sunset. It's not that. It's a very simple movie in terms of that. You're not like, it's not grand in scale or anything, but it does look really good. And there's a couple like effects moments they need to look really strong, and they look seamless. They look smooth. And it's most of Yorgos's films usually look good, but this one especially, I literally like, actively noticed that it looked very good, and I love the colors. Again, there were a lot of kind of crazy visual effects shots that they had to kind of play out, and I thought they all looked smooth. I'm just reading my letterbox review right now just to make sure that I'm not missing any positives. Yep, Oscars talk, of course. Every scene had me gripped, of course. Yeah, I mean yeah, I've gone through all my positives for the non-spoiler section, and again, even if you've never seen a Yorgos film, even if you had no hype for this and you're hearing me talk about it and you're like, oh, it sounds kind of goofy, I don't know. I watch this movie. I promise you. At the very least, even if you don't like it as much as I do, it is going to be a great movie to watch with someone else and a great movie to discuss with someone else because of how many twists there are and how much tension there is and all of that. I think it's 100% worth watching solely because of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's my main positives, and yeah, I'll get this done before I go into the spoiler section for those who haven't seen it. In terms of my Yorgos Lanthimos list, which by the way, I've seen all six of his English language films now. I watched them in the week leading up to Bugonia. This is number one. This is number one on my Yorgos Lanthimos list. Again, if you don't know, that's the director of the movie, and he's a very acclaimed director. I don't think he's gonna get awards love for this because it just doesn't seem like a movie that'll I don't know. I mean, I think he got a. Did he get direction for Poor Things? I have to look that up. If he did, then I think this is better than Poor Things. But anyway, my list for Yorgos Lanthimos films is number one, Begonia. Number two, Poor Things. Number three, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Those are all 4.5 stars for me. Number four, The Lobster, 4 star. Number five, The Favorite, 3.5 star. And number six, Kinds of Kindness. Didn't like that one as much, 2.5. But it's fine. But it didn't impress me that much of the rest of his films. But yeah, I think he's a great director, and this is another one of those installments that proves that he is one of the best working directors right now. And his style is not for everyone, and I understand that from watching all his films this week, but still, I think out of all his films, this is easily the most accessible. Like this is the less, I mean, it is still wild and crazy, but I think this is definitely the most accessible out of all his films because like something like The Favorite and something like The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer, like Poor Things to a lesser extent, those are like you'll watch those, and if you don't like weird movies, you're gonna turn it off in like 20 minutes because they're just absolutely insane, especially like the way they end always. But Begonia, again, it is nuts and is a crazy plot and a crazy ending, but still I think out of all his films, this is the most successful, which is why I'm saying go watch this movie, even if you don't think you're gonna like his films, or even if you've like seen one of his films you didn't like as much. Again, I think this is the most successful out of all of them, and yeah, that's it for the non-spoiler section. I guess my only negative is that there was and I'm only saying this now just in case you're like, oh, he has no negatives, and I don't really. My small negative is that the ending, kind of like a moment that happens in the last 10 minutes related with one of the twists at the end. I literally, you know what? I literally can't say this without spoiling it. So I'm just gonna say there was a little problem I had with the ending, like a very small problem. I'm gonna get into it right when I get into the spoilers, but that's really my only problem. This small. I mean, it's literally 4.5 star. It's fifth on my 2025 list, and it's my favorite Yorgos film, one of my favorite Emma Stone films. So like, I don't have many positive or negatives, but yeah, maybe I'd watch this again and I would give it a 5 star. But there was a slight part of the ending which I didn't like, and it was a little too on the nose for me. But aside from that, amazing movie. Yeah, I'm gonna get to the spoiler section. Click off now if you haven't seen the movie, and come back here and watch the spoilers. If not, I would really recommend this movie. I promise. Even if you don't like this director, even if you don't know if you like the actors, whatever, go watch this movie. So yeah, I'm gonna get in spoilers right now. All right, so spoiler section. She was the alien. She was the alien. Um, it's what's funny about that is that because this is based off another movie and because people have been seeing this early, I like accidentally got that part of the storyline spoiled like a couple days before the movie came out, which was annoying, but I was like, you know what, whatever, what can I do? And I didn't expect to like it as much as this. So I was like, I'm gonna like this movie, but not enough where I'm gonna be mad about getting it spoiled. But like the funny thing about it is I literally got it spoiled, but when it was going towards the end and especially the scene where she is going in her office and typing on the calculator, like I literally thought she wasn't the alien. I thought she was BSing him. Like that is how good the tension this movie was and how unpredictable it was. We're like, I literally got it spoiled beforehand, but still to the very end, I could not guess what was gonna happen. I did not I thought I got like a wrong spoiler. That's literally how tense and unpredictable this movie was. But that's kind of what I was saying about Emma's performance in this movie is that like we have so many different stages where like the beginning and when she's captured, we 100% are like as an audience, pretend I didn't get spoiled. Like, as an audience, you're like, she's definitely not the alien. There's no reason to believe she's in the alien. This guy is crazy. He's got some mental health issues. He's blaming all his problems on her. And we see the backstory with that and kind of the relation with her, with Emma Stone's company and his mom. But you kind of don't believe it at all. And then once she kind of escapes, and there's a point where she goes into his kind of back room and sees all this research that he's done. And then obviously when he comes back, she starts being a lot more assertive and telling him about this kind of alien plan, how there's the queen, all that stuff. Then you're like, oh, she's 100% the alien. Like there's no doubt in my mind. And then they obviously go to the office. And then once she goes to the office and you hear her kind of like slowly like, oh, I don't know the number for this. And oh, let me close off the door. And oh, you go in the closet. Like, then you're like, wait, she's BSing him. He's not. She's not the alien. Like that. Then you change it again, and then he blows up in the closet, obviously, and there's that crazy scene. And then she goes in the ambulance, and the second she leaves like gets up and leaves the ambulance, you're like, hold on, she is the alien. So this is like now think about it. Like that's like 4 or 5 times that you're seeing her mood shift, and it shows how good of an actor is. And how good just the script is, but also just really just credit to her acting. But yeah, I mean that just shows how layered the performance was, and just going back and forth and leaving me guessing, obviously. And again, that scene where she escapes and he comes back from like literally killing his mom, just crazy concept, crazy scene. And he's kind of sitting there in the chair with his gun and he's shaking and feeling emotion. Like you feel for him, whereas the whole movie you've been feeling for Emma Stone's character, you feel Clement's character more than anything else. And I think that's so. It speaks so much to his acting and speaks so much to how Yorgos was making us shift perspectives as an audience. I just think it's so brilliant and it was so enjoyable to watch and kind of just a crazy experience. Yeah, so the one thing I had that was a problem with the ending was I think actually seeing like the alien world for like 2 minutes and hearing that they're gonna destroy Earth and seeing their outfits and seeing her like destroy the bubble or whatever, that was just a little too on the nose for me. Like I didn't need to see that. You could have still executed the ending and proved she was an alien without. I think they could have just left it. How would I have played it out? I think they could have left it a little bit where, because that just felt kind of weird. Like you're watching this movie and it's so tense the whole way and it's so grounded and there's that crazy scene with him blowing up and her running out of the hospital or running out of um, what's the ambulance. That's the word I'm thinking of. Um, Once you see that, like that's all tense, that's all great. But then it just feels kind of goofy where she goes in the closet and she comes out and she's wearing this weird outfit and there's this weird setting. Like all that just seemed weird to me. And I really did like the final scene where like you're kind of seeing the world and everyone passed out and all that. I thought that was great, but I just thought the seeing the alien world just something it like took me out of it a little bit. I think that was what the main problem was. It kind of took me out of it where I was like, this whole movie's been so grounded and I know she's the alien, but still like I just think it's kind of goofy. I thought it was kind of goofy the way I executed it, but I don't know how else I would have done differently. And again, it's a very small concern because I still give this a 4.5. I still think it's Yorgos' best film, one of Emma's best films, great performances, one of the best films of 2025, all that stuff. But that kind of bothered me a little bit, so that kind of took me out of the movie. So yeah, and I think what I was trying to say about the conspiracy side of things is that it obviously offers a new fresh perspective because this guy by all means is meant to seem the whole movie absolutely insane and as an audience you're not meant to believe him, but by the end of it we find out that he is telling the truth and he does know what he's talking about. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for me to fully digest and kind of unpack what Yorgos was trying to say with that kind of storyline and that theme. But at the end of the day, I just appreciated the fact that it left me thinking. It left me thinking, okay, well, what is he trying to say here? Is he trying to say that, because obviously he's not trying to say like crazy conspiracy theorists should be trusted, like that we should believe that the earth is flat and all that kind of stuff. Like, obviously he's not saying that, but I like that it's kind of telling us that like I think how I interpret or am interpreting right now, and again I need to think about it more and kind of sit with this movie a little bit and maybe see it a second time. Um, I think how I kind of interpret it and kind of how it's been sitting with me is that we need to believe more perspectives, and also we need to not fully trust kind of the people in power. I think that's kind of what he was trying to say, and you can think whatever you want to think about that, based on your views, whatever. It doesn't matter. I just like that it got me thinking a lot and got me thinking. And still, I mean, I'm still thinking about this movie, and I saw it last night. So yeah, again, I just appreciate a fresh perspective on that, and not just falling into the basic trope of like this guy's crazy, the girl escapes, he goes to jail, and we're all good. Like I liked, even though the alien scene was a bit goofy, like I do like that we got a new spin on it. And again, even with me literally getting the movie spoiled, I still was guessing by the end of it, is she an alien? Is she not? Is he right? Is he not? Like all of that. Yeah, that scene. Another thing that I couldn't talk about non-spoilers, that scene with where Jesse Plemons' character, like his partner, shoots himself. That was just like absolutely insane. And again, a really smooth visual effects moments, but just absolutely insane. It's like a classic horror thing with the blood being all over Emma Stone's character. Like that was just super well shot. I love that kind of following that classic horror trope. And then the scene of her finding everything out, such good acting from her, but great from the director and the screenplay as well. I hope this kind of gets consideration in screenplay stuff as well because Will Tracy's screenplay is great. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about spoiler side of things. Yeah, what are any other scenes I want to discuss? Yeah, like I said, the only problem I had with this movie was that kind of goofy little alien montage. But again, I think if I watched it again, it wouldn't bother me as much. It was just something where I was watching the movie and I was feeling so on the edge of my seat, and gripped by everything. And then like that showed up, and I was kind of like, this is really like goofy. And they're speaking another language. Like I was like, and she's like popping a bubble. Like, I was like, this is kind of and that's classic Yorgos, but I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. So that was really my only sole problem with it. I think even if that didn't happen, I think I still would have given this a 4.5. So I just don't think it got to the level of 5 star. I have no other way to explain it except from the fact it didn't feel like a 5 star movie to me, like something like Sinners did, or something like maybe if I watch One Battle for Another again, it would be a 5 star for me. But yeah, this is one of the best movies of 2025. I would absolutely recommend it, and I'm going to do my absolute best to campaign for both Emma and Jesse and Yorgos, and the screenplay and the score, the editing, the sound, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be doing my best work to try to get that in the or do the Oscar campaign all by myself. If that's the last thing I do, that's what I want. And I do think it will get there because the reviews have been great. I think it'll do all right at the box office, well enough, similar to probably Poor Things' box office. And I do think Emma draws, and I think Yorgos draws too. Obviously, every film fan's gonna go see a new Yorgos movie or a new Emma Stone movie, so I think it will draw well. And yeah, go see this movie if you haven't. I mean, I don't know why you're in the spoiler section if you haven't seen it, but go see it again if you've seen it already. I'm probably going to see this twice or maybe in 3 times, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah, great movie. One of the best of 2025 so far. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I don't have anything else to say about this, but go see Bugonia. Go see Sinners. Re-releases this weekend. If you have not seen it, go see it. And yeah, I will see you. I don't know when I'm next going to be on here. Probably if there's any breaking news from Marvel or another. There's a lot of good movies coming out in November. We got Sentimental Value, we got Wicked for Good, we have what I'm forgetting, Predator Badlands. I will 100% do a review for that, whether it's on the channel or written. I will 100% do a review for Predator Badlands. And Now You See Me is another one coming out this month. I feel like there's another Thanksgiving movie. I don't know. There's a lot of good movies coming out in November, December. The year's winding down, and like I said, I will have a video at the end of the year talking about like my picks for the Oscars or my best movies of the year, my best performances of the year. But both Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone are already in my top 5 of this year, and we'll see if it stays that way for the rest of the year. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.